Hey everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV and your match preview show ahead of Liverpool taking on Leicester City at Anfield on Wednesday night in the Carabao Cup. We are live moments after Pep Lijnders has done his press conference. That gives us some nice things to talk about. I'm joined by Chloe and Abi Rudkin over there. Yeah, let me know how we're thinking in the chat. I've got Hannah early doors who says tomorrow will be her first time at Anfield. That's good. That's exciting. Yeah, I made up for you. Yeah, that's really good. Also got Nigel in the chat saying hi as well. Hello, my mate. Kev LFC says we are winning the lot, lads, and of course lasses alongside me. And Peter Jones, have a great time, Hannah. So a lot of love in the chat to begin with. That's what we like to see. But yeah, girls. So Pep Lijnders press conference done. Trent Alexander-Arnold back in light training. That's good news. Thiago not likely to be ready. Not a massive shock there. But he did say the line I've taken from it was his first thought is how can we win this game? So it's an interesting one because obviously this is probably sort of fourth on the list of priorities, Abby, this season. I think it's fair to say. But how do you want to see us approach it, I guess? Do you want to see us go on a big cup run this year? Are you that bothered about the Carabao Cup?
It's a difficult one, really, because we've seen us try and go for everything before, and that's what's always in the back of my mind. It's like we have the potential to go for everything. Like, we've got such a strong bench at the minute. Like, the whole squad seems to be coming together dead well. We've got loads of youth. I don't see why we can't go for everything. Do you know what I mean? There has been years when Klopp first come in where we sort of disregard the cups, but like I don't feel like that about it anymore, especially after like we've had the experience of winning it, and you know how good it made us all feel. Like, it literally felt like a Champions League final when we won that. So like I don't see why we can't go and try and do it again. And from like the things that Klopp said recently, like he sort of does have the faith in the young players to try and, you know, we've got that squad there. I don't see why not, to be honest.
No, I completely agree with you. You mentioned sort of the depth there, and we've seen it obviously on Sunday with the bench that we had, Chloe. There's some people not even making the matchday squad. Ben Dokes and Pacetic weren't involved on Sunday. Some people stayed on the bench, didn't even get on. Harvey Elliott. So Abby's right. We've got the strength in depth that we should be challenging these competitions, and so much of it as well is down to the draw. Because Abby references what happened in the early days of Klopp. We kept getting Chelsea away and Wolves away in the third round of the cup, and it's like when you haven't got the abundance of numbers to compete against Manchester City, for instance, you've got to be really careful. So we're putting out weakened teams and getting beat. But now it feels like the draw's been quite kind, I think. Anfield, you know, championship side now in Leicester. But we should be attacking this, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should. And it also helps when there is some decent, other games going on. You've got, I think, Newcastle against City. You've got Brighton against Chelsea. You've got Manchester United v Crystal Palace. If one of those big teams, maybe even two of those big teams, get knocked out for the next round, you're already thinking to yourself, right, well, we're favourites. If Manchester City, Newcastle, one of them have to be out, that's a massive tie that you're now excluding for the next round. So, yeah, it gets better the more you get into it and the more chance there is of others around you getting knocked out. But yeah, Liverpool do have the squad. I am one of them where I will always prioritise the Premier League, Champions League. We're not in the Champions League, so it's Europa League. And because Europa League, I don't expect us to walk it, but I expect us to get to the final.
We're
I expect
favourites,
you've got
we?
to. So the fact that that is easier than the Champions League level, and we're not having to in those Champions League games, you know, every week it'd have to be a perfect 11 pretty much, even in the group stage, because you could get some big names in there. Europa League, it's not quite the same, so you can put weekend sides out. So Liverpool should be able to put a decent side out this week and against Leicester and be able to fight on four fronts, just because of the Europa League not being as intense and as, you know, star-studded. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. And like he said, first of all, we think about how we win the game. And I like that because I've not heard that really from them in the past couple of years. And this year, he said it in the Europa League, did Jurgen, and now Pep Lijnders is you know, vocalising that as well.
Yeah, I always like hearing from Pep Lijnders in these press conferences. I don't know why. There's something, it's a little bit of a fresh voice, I guess, and a fresh face, but he always seems to say more than Jurgen Klopp. I might be completely wrong on that. It might just be, like I say, a different voice telling me things that I've not heard before. But yeah, for some reason, I always think he says a little bit more. He's a bit more open, let's put it that way. Justin Freeman in the chat as well says, hi, Redmen TV. Loving all of your amazing content and love you, Chloe. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, I would appreciate that. Gabrielle Suarez.
I thought it was going to be something about you.
No, I mean, why would I ever do that?
Because you
Come
always
on,
do
man.
every single
I'm not
time.
a sycophant, don't worry about that. Gabriel Suarez as well. So we're winning the EFL trophy this season. You never walk alone. Let's hope so. I certainly think we've got the squad to do so. Let's touch on Leicester, though. Start getting your predicted lineups in. I'll be getting some from Chloe and Abby a little bit later on. But start getting your predicted lineups in the chat, and we'll go through them in a few minutes. But first, we do need to touch on Leicester. We spoke, Abby, about sort of our priorities, and maybe this is lower down the list of them, it's fair to say. But Leicester are kind of in a similar boat because their priority is going to be getting back to the Premier League, of course. They're currently top of the Championship. They've started well, new manager there. Do you see them making changes as well? Are they going to be coming into this thinking, listen, it's Anfield away, we could get beat even if we play our best team here? Will they be going a little bit weaker, do you imagine?
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched enough of them in the Championship this season. Like, I've had a bit of a look, and I think they're on 21 points after 8 games and the top of the league. Yeah, the joint top. Yeah. So obviously that's going to be their main aim at the minute, like obviously for revenue purposes and everything else. But sort of to bring a little bit of faith back into the fans and give them something to cheer about, you know what I mean? Make them feel a little bit better about getting relegated, because can you imagine how crap they all felt last season going down, especially after like the last 10 years they've had or whatever, you know what I mean? I can see them sort of maybe starting a strong lineup just to try and, like, I don't know, for morale purposes and stuff like that at Leicester. Possibly. I mean, I'm not too sure. Maybe, I think so.
It's a difficult one, but what Chloe, Abby says there, it's hard to know how they'll look at it, because new manager in the door, like I say, he might look at this as a scalp and say, I want to go to Anfield, I want to beat Liverpool, I want to take on Jurgen Klopp and walk away with something. From a fan perspective, we know what their fans can be like, and we had the pleasure of watching Diogo Jota shut them up last time they were here, so certainly in the Cup anyway. How do you think they come and approach it? Do you think, we've seen it before, it's a really difficult one for teams who, they obviously, they need to get back in the Premier League for, as Abby mentions, the money and stuff like that. So if they come, they feel a really strong side and they lose a key player or two, that's going to be bad news for them down the line. How do you see them going?
I see them putting out a very strong lineup against Liverpool, because you know, they won the FA Cup, didn't they, a couple of years ago under Brendan Rodgers. It's silverware, and to them this Carabao Cup means more than it probably does to us sat on this couch, because we're sat here and we're like, well, we want to try and title challenge against City. We've still got Europa League, European football. They don't have any of that. Nope. They've got the league and they've got these cups, and you'd expect them to wipe the floor with the Championship anyway. I do, because the team that they went down with, even though they've lost quite a few players, including James Maddison, who sadly we have to face this weekend, they've still got a strong enough team. It's still a team that should be able to come back up. And I think adding FA Cups in there, if you beat Liverpool, that morale gives you, you can come into this game and you can not expect to win. It's at Anfield. You just go and you're getting the experience. But if you win, you bounce that and you use all of that into the rest of the season. And if you go on a cup run, it does actually help you with morale. It helps you with rhythm. That side, you know, has had previous experience in playing so many games a week. They've done it in the Premier League. They got obviously into Europa League football. He had a season in the Champions League football. So they've played 3 games a week several times. Is the team not as good as it used to be? Sure. But I still think they come at Liverpool, they fancy themselves. They're not expected to win, so there's nothing that they can do to let themselves down. So they might as well have a go at Liverpool. And look, Liverpool will be rotated. And Liverpool have conceded the first goal in the majority of the games they've played this season. So if you get at Liverpool, who knows? I hope it doesn't go that way. But I just think it'd be pointless them rocking up and thinking that they were beat anyway, because why not go for it?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I want to touch on the game the last time we played them in the Carabao Cup at our place in a second, because that to me felt like we went in very heavily rotated and they went really strong that night, and it showed for the first half, of course. We'll touch on that in a minute. I just want to touch on Leicester's side from the weekend. I won't ask you anything about it, but they beat Bristol City 1-0, obviously, with Hermansen in goal, is somebody I'm not aware of, and Pereira still's the right back. Wout Faes, who had a really good game last time he came to Anfield. Yeah, if he could score a couple again, that'd be boss. Yannick Vestergaard, obviously we know him, big tall centre half. Doyle, I think he went from City there this summer, left back. And Didi, obviously we know a lot about as well, decent player. Harry Winks, former of Spurs. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, who we were linked with for about 48 hours in the summer, which petrified me. Fatawu, who I honestly don't know, I apologise. Mavidi on the opposite side, I know him, he's a good player. And there's a certain Jay Vardy playing up front. I don't know, he scored, don't know, not sure. No idea. Anyway, he scored. He might play, who knows. Anyway, I'm joking, obviously he's like 40 years old. Yeah, next. That game. Kelleher heroics, Abby, Diogo Jota heroics, Takumi Minamino heroics. Let's have a little chat about that game. It was good, wasn't it?
Oh, I know it was. It was good. But that's the thing about Jota. Like, I honestly think I know we're going to come on to like our starting 11s in a minute, but I honestly think he has to start this game. And the club tweeted before the poster for tomorrow when he's on it. And I just think it's the perfect game for him, to try and get back into it a little bit and, having that start. And he can obviously play against them very well. So that's like what I'm mainly looking forward to. And you've always got that last game in the back of your mind, haven't you? And hopefully it's in the back of theirs as well. So yeah, it's in the back of mine anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Certainly be in the back of the fans' minds. Chloe, one of the better nights at Anfield. An underrated Anfield night, I think, that in the end, because it was boss, wasn't it? For a long time, like I said, first half, we were getting played off the park for a little bit, and you thought, God, this is a bit eye-opening. Made a couple of changes at half-time, improved the experience of the side that was out there, I think it's fair to say. And from that moment on, obviously, Minamino comes on late on and does what he does. But yeah, it ended up being, like I say, a really special night, actually.
Yeah, it was. It was an incredible atmosphere, and it was riled by their fans just being idiots, to be perfectly honest. And what Leicester, I think James Maddison, sorry to bring him up again, he came out after that game and pretty much said Anfield was possibly the greatest stadium for atmosphere. He turned around and he was like, I don't know what I've just played in. And it was because those sets of fans are riled up Anfield. And what people don't understand is you can come to Anfield and say the atmospheres are, a myth and all this. But when Liverpool really need the fans show up. And when you poke the bear and you poke Anfield's fans, we don't let you get a word in edgeways. The fans were absolute idiots at the end of the night, and Diogo Jota absolutely gave it everything towards their end. The fans was electric inside Anfield, and once again it was a heavily rotated side, and it's mad to think of the quality that we had on the pitch now to what I'm looking at, like Cody Gakpo and Jota and instead of Origi and Minamino. What's going on? Like, wow. You've got Gravenberch potentially in the mid with Taro Endo, Harvey Elliott. There is a lot of squad depth since then. There's a lot of exciting players. Ben Doak. And I'm really looking forward to it, because you cast your mind back and you think about, an iconic night at Anfield, that's it. Well, hopefully it can be another one of them, because I think we've got some, like, a better squad depth than we had then, and some unbelievably exciting footballers who will start this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's a big chance for some of them lads as well. I mean, we know there's a lot of talent there, but we haven't necessarily seen it sort of come to the fore yet, especially with some of them. Listen, there's a good chance like Diogo Jota or Cody Gakpo takes the headlines tomorrow night and we'll just move on with our lives, but there's also a chance a Ben Doak or a Quansah or Bajcetic, some who again, but these lads that we all think are really talented and think could be something special, this could be an opportunity for them. And with all that in mind, we'll come on to our predicted lineup. So just go through a couple in the chat first. Dom Dewsbury rightfully says it's very hard to predict the lineup for this one. I think I agree with you, but a little bit wiser on the back of Pep Linders' press conference. Minan Patel, Kelleher, Stefan, Kanate, Quansah, Costas, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Jota, Nunes and Doak. Nish says Nish says similar: Kelleher, Tsimikas, Quansah, Kanate, Bajcetic, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Doak, Jota, Gakpo. Maybe a Clark debut off the bench if we are winning comfortably. Yeah, I'd like to see Bobby Clark.
You expected him to play or feature against Lask,
yeah, I did. And then I knew he wouldn't, because he played like 2 days earlier in the under-21s game. And I think he ran the show, to be honest with you. I think they beat Morecambe, didn't they? I'm sorry, I'm completely going off track. They beat Morecambe 3-0 in the EFL trophy thing that they're playing. AJ... Yeah, Al Jabroy says, will Bajcetic start at inverted right back? I don't see the Europa League game, so not sure if he was any good. What do you think? Agree with this lineup, spot on, I think. Bajcetic, Abby, what did you make of his performance in that right back role? I thought, just for my say on it, I thought he did well. I thought it was clearly a lad who hasn't played a lot of footy for a long time. That was evidence. But there was moments in the game, we referenced the big slide tackle he made yesterday. There was moments whereby you thought, okay, that's Stefan Bajcetic. I recognise that. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think obviously he needs more game time now. That's the thing. Like, there was a time last season where he was like, probably one of our best players, considering how crap everyone was playing. I think it was just screaming, I need a bit more game time, and these sorts of games are the type of things that'll give him that, and he probably will get better every single time he does play that. I mean, I think him in the right back position, that sort of inverted full back, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I think we've heard a few people moaning about the way Gomez is being played as well when Trent's not there, but we'll see. We will see with it. sort of prefer him as sort of a defensive mid, but it's just one of them. While Trent's out, I mean, if Trent, I know they've said Trent's only in light training. If he was back in full training, I'd have put Trent in 100%. I would have, just to try, just to try and get him a little bit more game, just get him back into the flow of things. I would have though, because he did it with Virgil after he'd had that red card, you know, against Lask. That's what I'd have done, but. Obviously, I don't see Trent being fit. So.
No, I don't think he's going to be ready for this one. And I don't know, we might have given him some minutes, maybe off the bench, but I'm not sure we'd have been risking him fully for this personally because of the fact, if it's a Premier League game, different conversation potentially, you know, but because it's the Carabao Cup. Hannah returns. She would love to see Mac, Sobbo and Gravenberch as the midfield for an extended period of time, longer than the 13 minutes they had against Lask. No, I agree with that.
That's my future midfield, right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be games whereby this season we do see that midfield, probably games that we're expected to dominate the ball, particularly at home, particularly at Anfield.
Not for this one.
Not
risking them when we've got space.
Something's going dramatically wrong in this game if that ends up being our midfield at one point. I would imagine. Mike Messi says if we rotate the midfield, I reckon it should be Gakpo instead of Nunes, because Nunes would suffer if there wasn't a quality Balsam midfield. Yeah, I agree with that. Nunes has played a lot of minutes in the past couple of games, hasn't he? Anyway, predicted lineups time. Do you want me to give you mine first, or do you want to come to one of you guys?
Go for it.
I'll give you mine. I think somebody might have already said it a moment ago.
Someone said that.
So we'll go through them anyway. It's fine. And then we click that off. There we go. Kelleher, Timikas, Quansah, Joe Gomez, Stefan Bajcetic. No, that's not right. That can't be right. Sorry, my fault. Joe Gomez in there. I mean, it's right. Yeah, I'm telling lies. Gomez at centre half, Bajcetic, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Gakpo, Jota, and Doak. That would be mine. Abby?
That's not too far off mine. I mean, I had like Kanate and Quansah at centre back, and then I was going to have Bajcetic and then Simiskas on the other side, and then Kelleher in goal, Endo defensive midfielder, Gravenberch, however you say it, and then give Harvey more minutes. Then up front, Gakpo in the middle, Jota on the left, and then Ben Doak on the right. That was mine.
Same as you?
Yeah, I'm a little bit too worried to play Gomez in case Trent is not fit for Spurs. I don't want Joe Gomez playing about 4 games in a row. Therefore, I'm putting Kanate back in, and I'll take him off around the 60 for Joel Matip or for Joe Gomez, whoever. But I don't want Joe Gomez playing this game and then it getting to Spurs and it being like Trent's not full fit enough to play 90 minutes. Joe, you're going to have to go again. Don't like that. Kanate got a rest. Matip played, so I'd put Kanate back in, take him off after 60 if needed.
There's also a case, Chloe, on that Kanate might need those minutes because he hasn't played loads in the past few weeks, so I think that's probably fair enough. But the Gomez thing's interesting then in that case, because obviously I'm shifting him in my lineup back to a centre half. We've done that a lot with him so far this season. Is that fair on him? Are we getting the best out of him, moving him around all the time? Is that just what he is now? Is he a squad player who can play a couple of different roles?
Yeah, I think so. The thing is I think he's done decent at right back. He's obviously he's not your replacement for Trent. No one's ever going to be able to replace Trent. We hope that Stefan Bajcetic can build into that role and potentially be the person of if Trent is ever injured or if we ever need to rotate it, Stefan Bajcetic can step up and there won't be that big of a drop-off. Joe Gomez is not the same type of player. He's there to do a job. And sadly, after the way Matip performed the other day, I still think at centre-half, Kanate and Matip are both above him right now. That's just how I see it, because I see him as the second right-back because of obviously Conor Bradley's injury, the fact that Calvin Ramsey did go out but is injured still. So for me, at the moment he is a squad player, but he's a decent squad player and there's nothing to say that he couldn't rival Joel Matip or Kanate if he gets a good run of form. And also, if I see Joe Gomez on a team sheet now, I'm less worried than I was 12 months ago. So that's just great for him as well. Just get his confidence back up, get him a rhythm, because we all know just dropping into games here and there doesn't work. He needs to build up that form and rhythm and the confidence. So he is just a squad player, but I still think he's got bags of quality. And if he performs at the highest level, then he can challenge other players in their positions.
No, 100%, yeah. And I'm made up for him to be actually getting some minutes, because he was getting a lot of criticism last season, and rightfully so, because some of his performances were miles below par, and it just felt like, I've said it hundreds of times, so forgive me, but if the first thing he did in the game didn't go his way, he was done.
Yeah, that was completely melted. That Napoli game was absolutely awful. That literally gives me nightmares of a night.
No, you're right. It was absolutely horrendous. Abby, I'll come to you, because I think you both had Gakpo, Jota and Doak as your front threes. Obviously, Doak's on the right-hand side of that. That's a given. With the other two, which way do you see that going? Because they can both play out on the left wing. They can both play the 9. How do you see that working? Or will it just be interchanging all day?
Gakpo in the middle for me and then Jota on the left. That's just the way I'd do it.
Same.
It's the way I prefer it. I quite like Gakpo down the middle. I do like him like that. Obviously, I'd rather have Nunes, but you're not going to start him in this game when he's had that many minutes. So, and I think Gakpo needs a bit more time to try and like build up his confidence a little bit. I think his confidence might be getting knocked, especially with him being dropped for Nunes, but it's valid. You know what I mean? Nunes has been better. And I was thinking to myself, like maybe Nunes needs to just be an impact player off the bench, but then he's proved that wrong, really. He's proved me wrong in that way. So, yeah, Gakpo's got to try and prove himself again.
Interesting that. And I think you're right on the Gakpo thing. He hasn't had a great start to the season. I'm probably his biggest fan. I think he's boss. I think he's such an intelligent footballer, but he hasn't started the season well at all. And I think some of that is down to him moving positions all the time. And obviously, he's now
we've
lost
not
his...
helped him.
No, we've not helped him at all. And then we've asked him to do a midfield role. We went down to 10 men a lot. And it was just, the games were passing him by a little bit. He wasn't getting himself into it. And he made a really good start to the Liverpool career, of course. But it's interesting that you'd go Gakpo through the middle, which I actually agree with. But when we signed him, he was a left winger.
Yeah.
Like we signed a left winger. And now it's like, oh, you play the 9. So interesting one. Start getting your score predictions in. And I'll ask you to as well in a second.
Jota, I'd prefer up the middle. But I prefer him as a number 9. But when he's with Cody Gakpo, I prefer him out wide. I don't know why. I just he came on the other day, and when he cut in from that left-hand side, he had a shot late on in the game. And the thing I didn't realise with Jota is he doesn't look like he has a lot of pace. And then when he's got the ball on his feet, he flies because the close control is so good. He can beat a man. So yeah, I like him cutting in from that side. But if they were to alternate and give the Leicester defence something to think about throughout the game, you know how Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones should keep switching sides, I'd be fine with that as well. They're both intelligent in both of those roles, that if they interchange throughout the game, boss.
And we've got loads of that. We've obviously Nunes plays out the left a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of him out there, but if he is in the lineup with either of them two, you're right, they can swap and change.
And also we're in a position where we can bring Luis Diaz on, we can bring Mo Salah on, we can bring Nunes on. You know, you could even I mean, I think Harvey Elliott will start, but even if he doesn't start, you could potentially see him on the left wing or the right wing, because he plays there sometimes.
Hopefully we don't have to,
hopefully we don't have to.
Yeah,
but
the bench tomorrow night's going to be frightening, I think. I really do. Mikey J asks, where's Calvin Ramsey? He's been fit for about 20 minutes in 2 years. He's at Preston. He isn't fit, but he is at Preston on loan. Yeah, I saw him the other day. I went to the academy to watch our under-18s, and he was there. He's doing a little bit of training actually, running. Let's put it that way. So he's getting there. Right. Score predictions. We've had a 3-1 already in the chat from Spirit. Obviously, Liverpool only win 3-1 at the minute. I'm going to ask you score predictions and how the game will go, but I want you, if you can, Abby, to tell me who you're most interested and / excited about watching tomorrow night, please.
Gravenberg. Definitely.
But you can't have him now.
You can't have him now. That's so sly. Definitely Gravenberg, and then score prediction, I'll probably go 3-0. I feel like we need, a clean sheet. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, and then goal scorers, I'll say Jota gets all 3.
Wow.
Oh, well,
okay, there's a prediction for you, everyone. There's your bet.
They never go my way anyway. I always say them and I never get them right. So
this could be the one. Chloe, same questions.
Well, I was going to pick Gravenberch, but I'm not allowed that anymore. 2-1 to the Reds. I think we'll concede. Liverpool enjoy doing that sometimes. I'm going to go with... I really want to see what Stefan Bajcetic is like again, now that he's maybe understood it a bit more. But truthfully, just Ben Doak. Just keep showing me Ben Doak on that right wing, please. That is just what I want to see all the time. Yeah, and for goals... I'm going to go with Harvey Elliott and Gakpo.
Okay, nice. Gutted you picked Ben Doak. I wish I hadn't made the rule up now whereby you say, I can't have the one you just picked.
And you can't have Stefan Bajcetic either, because I name dropped him as well, so now you've got to pick someone else.
You named off quite a few. I'm really scraping the barrel here. Before I give mine, give myself some time to think. James Lim, one of our members, gives his team, says Kelleher, Gomez, Canate, Quansah, Costas, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Doak, Gakpo and Jota. Interesting that pretty much everyone exclusively has gone for the same front three. That's We might not end up picking that, of course, but that does suggest that we all are on the same wavelength. Was lost, but now I'm fine. It says 3-1 Liverpool. Yeah, another one. Jerome says 3-0 to the Reds. Dom Dewsbury comes back with 3-1 to Liverpool. Let me get a couple more before I do give mine. Guy says 2-0.
Still thinking about that.
Still thinking. Jerome comes back with Ben Doak to score. Okay.
Hello. I said that midweek, it didn't happen, so I couldn't say it again.
I've got mine, but we'll just do one more. Nish says 3-2 to us. Think it'd be closer than something. They've got quality players and have a makeshift back four. Yeah, I think that's probably fair enough. RB, you've just given me my inspiration for mine. I'll say 3-1 Liverpool, funnily enough. I'm going to say Endo is the one I'm most interested in watching. Not excited, because it's not very exciting. But I'll say most interested because there's been a lot of talk about him and sort of what he might be as a squad player or a first team for us or whatever. I think he needs a good performance, to be honest with you, because already... It might be a bit too soon to say the knives are out, but it's also too soon.
Abuse.
It's also too soon for the knives to be out. You know what I mean? So I'd like him to play. I'd like him to have a really good game so we can kind of relax a little bit about him and just say he's going to be fine. He's not the long-term solution, of course, he isn't to the DM, but I'd like him to play, like I say, have a decent game and sort of put the doubters, just calm them down a little bit. And scorers-wise, because everyone's doing scorers, I think Ben Doak might get his first goal contribution. It's a bit of a cop-out for me. Gakpo will get 2. And Gravenberch gets his first Liverpool goal. How about that?
I did want to
Like
go
that.
Gravenberch.
How about that? Yeah, nice. Loads more free ones in the chat, but I don't think I've missed anything. Let me just double check. No, all good. Sound. Thank you very much, everyone. Massively appreciated. Thank you for watching and indeed listening. I will see you again very soon. I'm certain of it. Until I do, take care and up the Reds. See you later.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the content today. If you want to get your name in and amongst these wonderful people, then head to redmenplus.com. Join as a Legend tier subscriber. You're going to get free merchandise codes. You're going to get in our Discord and you're going to get your name at the end of YouTube videos. Yes, redmenplus.com, Legend tier status.